The bottom line, it happened during the 13th International Antiphospholipid Syndrome meeting. This is something that invented here at St. Thomas's Hospital. Hughes organized the first two at Hammersmith. He called it international, and there were 30 people. Doesn't matter to us. 30 people at St. Thomas's Hospital coming from all over the place to talk about antiphospholipid antibodies. The third meeting was in Jamaica and started growing. And now to these international meetings, about 600 to 800 clinicians come around the world to attend these meetings from different specialties, hematologists, nephrologists, internal medicine, rheumatologists, and so on, who looks after patients with antiphospholipid syndrome. So what happened during this meeting exactly? The organizer, which is a friend of mine, suddenly received a check, $10,000, just like that. We are not used to this. We are not working with the pharma industry. Nobody gives us money for nothing. Okay? So she asked me, how this patient sent us $10,000 to investigate more, see what she wants in return. There is no free lunch, I remember this long time ago. So what happened? What became transparent that this patient is not a patient. It's her daughter suffered from antiphospholipid syndrome, very mild antiphospholipid syndrome, and she started asking questions to the colleagues in New York. What's the chance for my daughter to have thrombosis in the future? She never had thrombosis. She had only thrombocytopenia, antiphospholipid antibody positive, and she started asking questions. And the colleagues in New York, who are senior colleagues, couldn't answer. They said, well, don't know what's the chance for your daughter to have thrombosis, but take aspirin and maybe nothing happens. I said, what do you mean maybe? For how long this syndrome has been described? She said, he told her 25 to 30 years. He said, why you are not working together? She started asking practical questions. And she said, okay, when is your next meeting? And he said, in Galveston, in Texas. He said, okay, I'm going to help the meeting, but you organize a session called Clinical Research in Antiphospholipid Syndrome. She paid for a session for us to talk about clinical research, for international group to talk why, and she came to the session trying to figure out why the hell you are not working together. You know about this syndrome, but Hughes does his things in London, and Roger Levy does his same thing in Brazil, and Cervera does his thing in Spain. Why you don't work together? So during this meeting, now we understand why she's donated this money. She's very rich, wealthy lady, and she wanted to do good. Right? So she said, okay, analyze how you can work together and review the literature, what's available, and see if you can work together once for the good for these patients in the long term, try to understand how we improve the field. So we had a lot of time. Why this happened during the meeting, exactly during the meeting, the famous volcano happened, so we had extra week there to discuss, not for a few hours. The session was 1.5 hours. We were stuck there for a week. I promise you that Graham escaped. The day of the volcano, Graham was flying. He never stayed 1 week for any meeting anyway. So he escaped. He was the last one to escape from that meeting, by the way. So we were stuck there for a week. It was a long time to discuss. So what we discussed, okay, what we know. We know this. This is a major syndrome. Did my previous colleagues convince you that? This is a well-established syndrome. You go to any textbook of medicine now, you have a chapter called Hughes syndrome, antiphospholipid syndrome. There is books around. So everybody accepts the syndrome. That's a major syndrome for recurrent miscarriages, late pregnancy complications, thrombosis, stroke, heart attacks. Can we go beyond the aspirin? And there is data to suggest, at least in the prescription, that if you take hydroxychloroquine, the anti-malarial, you can protect patients having thrombosis. So this is where the ABS action group is going to focus in the future. To do a trial focusing hydroxychloroquine based on the data available from lupus patients. We are extrapolating data from lupus patients that show that if you have lupus and antiphospholipid antibodies and you take hydroxychloroquine for your lupus, the chance of thrombosis is less compared to those patients who are not taking hydroxychloroquine. So this data is available, comes from the lupus field, but there's no reason we shouldn't work in the antiphospholipid syndrome. So what happened next? Okay, we discussed all of that. We had, as I told you, because of the volcano, long time to discuss all of these issues in detail. She said, okay, I come from rich family. She confessed that. She has the millions of dollars that we need to start. And why you don't come to Miami? Oh, why Miami? Why? she selected with her advisors in the United States who should come to this specific meeting to be organized in Miami. And figured it out why Miami, very luxury hotel in Miami, because she owns the hotel. Simple as that. She called that meeting Breaking Out of the Box, and here is the people who met in Miami. Very, very selected, with the advice from the obviously colleagues working in the field in New York who were looking after her daughter. And we met in Miami for the first time. It was 2 days heavy meeting, very, very heavy meeting, trying to see if we can work together, internationally, once for good. And to suggest this phenomena with the liposynthetic interfering with the INR less than 5%, like precisely. Small number of patients, but if it happened to one of the patients using Roche machine, Roche will be in problem. So their lawyers have to protect them to put this in the prospect. Like you go to any iron pregnancy clinic, many of you know that. None of the drug has been tested in pregnancy in clinical trial. Flip the coin and see if hydroxychloroquine is safe or not safe. The data suggests it's safe. But if you go to the formulary, say don't use in pregnancy. It's logical to say don't use in pregnancy because the drug company would be responsible for the safety issue. So this is true with it, similar to it, protection. So it's like you say, it's over the lady thing and then the lady behind.
I was wondering if I could ask about the connection with autism. I wasn't sure when you put it up on the slide if it was that families, patients with APS had autism, but whether there's a causative factor, a potential causative factor.
Yes. I don't have any evidence to say there's a causative factor. In looking at families and getting a strong family history, autism has come up in a few of offspring. It may be that autism being very common, this is just a noise level in epidemiological circles, but because again it's a possibly brain thing, I think somebody should be studying that. I don't know if I'm on my own in that.
Sorry, I've been really naughty. Could I ask if there's been any schizophrenia? Because I know schizophrenia. Because I know schizophrenia and autism, there's a connection. I just wondered.
Yes, there's been some studies. It's not a big link. That's one good thing. Lupus patients can get psychotic episodes. Antiphospholipid, fortunately, not a major feature. There's a gentleman. There's one at the back. Oh, sorry, you first, and then.
My question is, I was diagnosed in 1990 and my case was published in the BMJ. I had a really good haematologist on board who said to me, don't stop your INR even if you don't stop your warfarin even if you've got high reading. Sadly, he's now retired and I had an INR of 8.5, which I know is really high. I was told to stop my warfarin for 2 days. It dropped to 2.2 and then I've had TIAs. I had an INR of 7.7, for some, I don't know why, but they're being erratic at the moment. I asked not to stop my warfarin, managed it myself, and after 3 days brought it down to 3.1, my concern being that I had INRs of 1.4. And I was told that I had fibromyalgia and I was depressed.
Fluctuation in the INR is very common in the antiphospholipid syndrome. We don't know exactly why, but it's an art to anticoagulate patients with antiphospholipid syndrome. I won't recommend 7. 7 is really high, and the chance of bleeding with every INR above 4, every time you increase the INR to 5, 4 to 5, the risk dramatically increases. And there is data in the basic from the hematology field. Unfortunately, Beverly Hunt is not here. Definitely 7, you will be at high risk of bleeding, which is the other side of the coin, rather than preventing thrombosis. So I will definitely not recommend 7. These are the patients that Wolfgang Hughes said that we give them heparin long term, and maybe if you INR keep doing this, you are better off with alternative treatment, which is heparin injection every day. It's safer, but you have obviously bruises as well. You have to consider that.
Fibromyalgia and depression, we hear that every day in clinics, I'm afraid. A lot of our patients have got what we call Sjögren's syndrome, which is dry eyes, dry mouth, and muscle aches and pains. And the two go together, those autoimmune features. And those patients are almost invariably given this silly label of fibromyalgia, which is a cop-out. The doctor stops thinking.
can we do about hospitals that don't believe in self-testing? Leeds Authority.
It's such a big question. It's so important, isn't it? And this is maybe where the charity can do something, because sadly you're not alone in these. I mean, there's dotted all around the country, it's postage, whatever that phrase is. And education, I mean, all of us spend our time doing GP meetings, doing postgraduate meetings. I've even spoken each year to the Nurses Society who do anticoagulant clinics. I get the impression things are improving there, actually, but still even the nurses in anticoagulant clinics often give our patients a hard time. I don't have an easy answer except through education.
The problem with the field is moving. I know you have interest here and you are selling blood check machine, but maybe it's go to the museum in 5 years' time. I don't know. We will be out of job. You come and work with us. but you know, there is nobody's going to invest really to improve these machines and the use of these machines, because the prediction, whether it will be good prediction or not, that the newcomers, that Beverly Hunt lecture, will take over from warfarin. There is question mark about the bleeding, the antidote, and all of that. But the market is so huge that very likely the number of patients will be in warfarin in the year 2015. It won't be 1 million British, it will be few hundred or few 100,000, but not millions. So the market, unfortunately, for guava check is not going up, it's going to go down. For the time being, how to handle that is case per case. With our help, with your consultant trying to GPs need a letter from the consultant to say, well, I am happy for your patient to be with that, with monitor at home. This is what we do, but you know, it works sometimes, most of the time it doesn't work.